Hi, Sam Tardio again. By now you've probably heard the good news about the city recanting and reinstating the signatures on the PBA petition, so it will be on the ballot November 6th. I got to admit that a tiny part of me would like to dance about this, but the larger part of me doesn't feel like celebrating at all. I was angry about how low they could go to stop the people from having a voice, but now it depresses me of how sadly pathetic their actions have been. People who are not supposed to be taking sides on home rule have been continually participating in lying to save home rule. We have a city council that has demonstrated that it has absolutely no respect for us. They might say differently, but their actions are far stronger than their words. It's sad because we put our trust in these people to serve the welfare of the city, but other than Councilman Curavan, they instead decided to serve themselves. They took it upon themselves to lock the people out of a decision concerning the financial structure and well-being of Sedona. Having home rule or any alternative plan was never their choice. This has and always will be the choice of the people. But they snubbed their noses not only at their obligation, but they did it right to our faces 3 times. They decided that the only way they wanted to run this city was by having a free hand. For them, it was home rule or nothing. This wasn't about city operations or irresponsible spending. Hell, they've certainly shown their proficiency in irresponsible spending. This was about overstepping their moral obligation to the people so they could write the playbook to suit themselves. But something else nags away at me because I've heard more than once that we, the new council candidates, don't understand how this city works. What we supposedly don't understand is that the hired help tells the council what they want and the council provides it. So did the hired help tell the city council to not consider the PBA option because they wanted no strings attached to the home rule purse? It kind of fits the situation. Not that it in any way excuses the city council members for being weak-minded enough to pass off their authority to the people they're supposedly supervising. I understand the city manager, city council form of government, but I'm not sure they do. The elected council holds the legislative and policy-making powers, which employs a city manager who is responsible to the council for the city's administration. That's it. The hired help runs the daily operations and nothing more. It makes me wonder who decided to disqualify the petition for the PBA. The council or the hired help, or maybe the combination. But I think there's another force, an outside force of at least the AZ Election 18 PAC and the Chamber of Commerce. They may be outside City Hall, but they're definitely within the inner city, with the inner circle of influencing the decisions of this council. I think the circle was panicking, so their last move was to stop the momentum of the PBA, was to pull it out of the race. But even I knew they would lose this case in court, and as it turns out, it didn't even make it that far. So either this circle thought Arizona Liberty would just walk away with their tail between their legs, or maybe their idea to just get it to look like the PBA was off the ballot, so people would think they had no choice but to vote for no home rule. To vote for home rule was what they intended to begin with. I don't know, but I do know that each scenario is a disgrace, and if these people could be impeached, I would vote for that immediately, because no matter how you slice it, every move they made was not for the welfare of the city or the people. Well, so now it's all over, right? No. It's really just beginning. We're back to square one, still having to get home rule and the incumbents defeated. After everything the circle has done, and with every scare tactic they've tried until now, believe me, they are not about to lay down and let PBA happen without a big fight. I guarantee we're about to see their biggest push yet to get the incumbents reelected and home rule passed. They're going to kick their promotion into high gear and push every lie concerning home rule, no matter how outrageous. Here's the subtle beginning. Did you get this book? Paid for by the AZ Election 18 PAC? It's a story. It came in the mail. It's a story about a lost soul who finds her way, and she shows us how to save our city with a simple yes vote for home rule. Now, right off the bat, common sense says that since we've had home rule for more than 2 decades, that if it was so good, there wouldn't be such a large movement to stop it. I don't know the author, Sherry Richards, but I read the story once before when it appeared on Sedona.biz. I'm sure she's a very nice lady and certainly a good writer, but this is like the War and Peace version in length of an enchanted fable with all the fairies and butterflies tightly wrapped up with a pink bow into a nice little package of propaganda. There are about 18 to 20 pages, but you could probably define the pros and cons of yes and no on home rule in less than 2 pages, so here it is. Home rule gives the city council authority of unlimited spending, restrained only by the amount of money the city has to spend on whatever they want. That's it. That's everything about home rule in a paragraph. As it turns out, since the council seems to think their job is to do what the hired help wants, but is also under the influence of the circle, that in essence means the unelected hired help as well as the profit-motivated forces within the circle are all about deciding how much and where to spend our tax dollars. On the other hand, voting no on home rule and yes on the permanent base adjustment puts a $36 million cap on the council's spending, and that cap, compared to the last 5 years, is about 10% more than enough to pay all our expenditures, including the nonprofits. That 10% is before the new council trims the old and newly added extra fat added by this council. Now, if the council wants to exceed that cap to fund a special project, they must approve it with a vote of 5 out of 7 members, and then the council presents that request to the citizens for a yay or nay vote. It gives oversight to the citizens to stop a runaway council, which we undoubtedly have, and equally important, it eliminates the circle of influence. It gives power to the people to stop destructive projects like connector roads and the bastardization of Uptown before they ever happen. Yeah, it costs $25,000 to have the people vote, but that's far better than spending tens of millions on things the people don't want. I think what the circle forgets, or maybe doesn't care about, is that good governing, other than concerning our health and safety, is about what the people want, not what the circle wants, which is more than likely tied into someone's financial gain. I contend the council is a runaway council because they're still pushing these construction projects. And amazingly, they continue to give the Chamber of Commerce about $2.5 million a year. They prefer to be blind to their sweetheart deal and the absurd amount they're giving them, as both they and the Chamber hypocritically cry for the nonprofits. You're giving $2.5 million away and you're complaining about the nonprofits? Come on. Home rule isn't any magic smart pill, and after more than 2 decades of swallowing it, this council certainly has proved that. It doesn't do anything but give the store away to those who in our case think they shouldn't have to answer to anyone, whereas the PBA gives the citizens invaluable oversight. This little booklet is a closed-minded fairy tale. It's the wolf line in Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's bed. It's the same old half-truths, polished up nicely and delicately written, that if you aren't familiar with the truth, you wouldn't hardly notice the bias slant it has towards home rule. It's propaganda at its best. Here's my storyline. We're in the midst of clear and present danger. We're at a turning point for the city, and if this circle of power supporting home rule and these incumbents actually keep control, things will undoubtedly get much worse. We need to desperately turn out the voters because there are people out there beyond the reach of social media. They may be uninformed or worse, reading the biased editorials in the Red Rock News. They need to be informed because the future of this city is crying out for help. We as a team need to reach the people that are still unaware of the danger we're facing, so we've got to build this team. Please, if you want your city back, everyone's got to do whatever they can to make as many people as possible aware of the truth. That's our priority. Thank you for helping, and thank you for listening.